Well, hello and welcome again to River Valley Farm. The old truck made it out of the barn, made it back here, got cleaned on a little bit, made it back to town, and hauled a cabinet back here for my mom. And then, well, I shut it off after all that, and it wouldn't start back, true to form. So anyway, I went ahead and swapped the cam sensor out because I had one and it still would not start last night when it was warm. So while they're not always the problem, they are a lot of problems most of the time. So let's see. Okay then, so we still got a no start, which means there's an issue with that cam sensor that I put in, more than likely. Yay. But first, we will go through and see what we can find. Maybe there's some other instance that's giving us trouble. So, step one, do we have any fuel in the fuel filter? Yep, I'd have to call that full of fuel. So, now we know that's out of the way anyway. So, since we got fuel, if I can get up in here, and we can see, maybe in the spot mirror we'll be able to see. It's smoking, but it's not firing. And definitely cranking fast enough. I'm showing 250, 300 RPM cranking, so the starter's plenty good and the batteries are good. So, okay then, logically, we have to have a low, our high oil pressure, our high pressure oil must be low. Pressure is not getting high enough. So I just disconnected the ICP, injection control pressure sensor, on this one, which is that critter right there. Yeah, that thing I'm pointing at right there, that guy. Okay, so it's not working right, or it's not seeing the pressure that it should see. Something is going on. We're showing engine oil pressure, which is always a good thing. If my head's like really big, I'm sorry, but my arms are only so long. And anyway, I didn't bring my camera. So with that disconnected, this thing should either start or it won't. And since we're still not starting, we can only deduce at this point in time that we must not be getting our high engine oil pressure, high pressure oil must not be getting to what it needs to be getting to. Oh, okay then. So, we're not making pressure on the high pressure oil system is kind of where we're at with this thing. I don't have a scan tool to hook up to it so we can test it and see. Really, I wish I did, but I don't. So pretty much the next step in the process would be to remove the sensor there and see if which it's going to have oil on it, but we wipe it off, put it back in, and then see what happens. But it's going to have oil on it anyway. So let me see. I may be able to tap into that with a gauge where that sensor goes, and we'll see what I get then. I might have the rigging to do that. There's also, if you're equipped with gauges rather than scan tools, and you're not above taking stuff apart so you can diagnose stuff, there are plugs in the front of the head. The ones in the back to drain, that people use to drain when they do injectors and stuff, excruciatingly difficult to get to on this engine. Okay, but this up here isn't much better because you have to remove, you know, the AC compressor, the belt tensioner, the AC compressor bracket, and then you can access what you need to see. Completely and totally not fun. Oh, and another thing, since we're talking about high pressure engine oil, does it have oil in it? It would seem to have oil in it, so we're going to go with that is okay. Another thing, though it has oil on the dipstick, does it have the correct oil in it? Well, I know this one has the correct oil in it because I put the correct oil in it last time I worked on it for anything, although it probably could use a change. But not too much really to worry about there. Another thing that we're going to check would be the injection actuation, or no, the injection pressure regulator, which is down here. I don't know. Yeah, that connector right there. No, that's not it. What is that? Where is it? It's down there somewhere. Anyway, big solenoid valve. It could possibly have a blown O-ring or something that could be causing this. But given a little bit more history here, I'm gonna have to say it's probably gonna be the high pressure oil pump itself, the H-pop as everybody wants to call it. It's a Huey pump, the hydraulic electronic unit injection system. Anyway, if you'll notice, these are not factory. This is your high pressure oil lines coming out of the pump. Those are not factory lines on this truck. It was a Saturday in Carrollton, Kentucky. I pulled in to get fuel at Kroger, and the truck just died. I was like, uh-oh, that's not right. Got out, looked around, and I had a huge puddle of oil underneath the truck. I mean, like all of it was on the ground underneath the truck. So crawled up here, checked, everything's screaming hot, of course. The Ford dealer right next door was still open, but of course they didn't have any parts. They didn't have any lines. These lines, one of these lines was busted. I don't remember which one it was. So went to the Napa in Carrollton, which is, those boys are a godsend. If ever you're in the area, stop in and say hi. And took all these, or well, actually I walked to Walmart, got tools, took these lines off, took the fittings out, went to Carrollton, went to Napa and had my wife come pick me up. We went to Napa and Carrollton and got all the fittings we needed and everything to make this right, make those lines that are in there work. Filled it up with oil, drove it home, and then it was a couple of weeks later we started having all of these issues with odds and ends and different things, with it being hard to start when it's hot. With it being hard to start when it's hot, not odds and ends and different things, but with it being hard to start when it's hot. And right now it hasn't ran today and it still won't start. So we have the option of the IPR valve being an issue, but as I said, I'm more or less leaning towards the pump itself is bad, but we're going to check the IPR anyway. Okay, so to explain the thought process here, we removed the ICP sensor, okay? With it disconnected such as it is, it should throw the pump to full stroke and the engine should start, okay? It didn't do that before. So, I have connected a gauge to it. This is a 10,000 pound gauge. It's what I have with me. It's not necessary. 5,000 would suffice. Now, hang on here. I really need to remember to bring my camera when I decide I'm going to do something. But anyway, whatever. We'll get to it, right? So anyway, since that's disconnected, the pump should go to full stroke. And as long as the pump is good and the IPR, the IPR is good, we should see over 3,000 PSI in the truck. This is 4 right here. So we should see somewhere between that black mark and that black mark and the 4,000 mark there. If we don't see that, then we know we need to keep digging. I heard something funny. Anyway. Not quite making 2,000. Which should really make it enough to start. But anyway. Should really make it enough to start. But anyway. Sometimes they got to see. I don't remember what these have to see now off the top of my head. I think they have to see 3,000 or they won't start. So anyway. It's trying to fire the injectors. It's just not quite doing it. So, on to the next thing, which is going to be to pull out the IPR and see if we have any blown O-rings or anything like that. This is the really not fun part of this job. But anyway. Here we go. Alright, so here we have our IPR. If I can get things to focus here. The O-rings are still on it. You have this O-ring and the backing ring, and then the O-ring that seals it to the body of the high pressure oil pump. And then you have the, whoa, wait a minute. That is bent. Just bigger than shit, that is bent. Yeah, that is bent. Okay, well, I can only guesstimate that won't let it work. Being bent like that. Can only estimate that it being bent like that won't let it work. So yeah, that's going to be a problem. Whether or not that's all of it, I don't know. And on top of that, I really don't know how it got bent to begin with. Unless, of course, I bent it when I took it out, but I don't see how I could have done that. So, that being said, I guess I need an IPR. So anyway, you can even see that solenoid doesn't sit on there quite correctly anymore, although it will just fall off. So, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and spend the $200 bucks, I guess, and get this thing and we'll put it in there and see what it does. Can't hurt it too much, I guess. But that blows me away that thing is bent like that. And I don't know, you know, I could see it when I was looking at the screen on my phone, but yeah, that thing is bent. So anyway, we'll try again tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back later. And I'm bringing my GoPro tomorrow, so it won't be quite as bad a video.